All right, what is up, everybody? So let me check my okay. I just had to like check and make sure everything looked good. Okay, what is up? We are back. Got some great news. Okay. Anybody that's watched the stream more than a couple times, there's been those periods, right, where we like start dropping frames and whatever the case may be. And that's no longer going to be the case, right? Because we upgraded, we upgraded to say the least. We got good internet now, so we're not dropping any frames. So obviously, really happy about that. But side note. Um, yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the weekend of Flesh and Blood. We had the team battle hardened, which I will say was an absolute blast to actually watch. Really enjoyed the coverage. I thought they did a great job seeing uh, Mr. Dando in the booth. The pleasure as always. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. The outcome was kind of predictable, to be honest. Nothing like crazy. We kind of knew what was happening there. The counter to the meta is Bolton, by the way. Trust me. I'm gonna have to see some proof on that one. I can't just take your word for it. Uh, but I mean, Bolton, like the only viable version of Bolton's got to be Decimator X, right? Um, which might be an angle. I understand the thought process. I'm not saying it's a good one, but I understand it, which is halfway there. What's up, Jacob? Good to see you. Am I ready for the PT? So, unfortunately, we started a new job back in February, and I'm still in the process of getting. It's one of those jobs where like stuff happens at a certain time of the year, like very heavily, and I'm still getting caught up and adjusting. So, unfortunately, I will not be at Pro Tour London. However, I'll be at Nats, Worlds, Singapore. We're gonna try. I can't guarantee it, but Nats and Worlds 100% easy. We already got the PTI for Worlds. We're good. No matter what happens, we will be there. How am I supposed to get my young Briar signed? Well, you're supposed to come to Worlds. That is how you do it. But yeah, you'll have to fight that battle without me. But I do wish everybody the best of luck, and I hope they have an amazing time at Pro Tour London. Just watch out for that urban cutlery. You know what I'm saying? Um, don't don't make it where somebody on the street's gonna get a retrieve on you. Is all I'm saying. Okay, so just mind your p's and you keep. No, it's not that bad. But Worlds is on my list this year. Well, see, there you go. Easy, easy. It's in the U.S. We still don't know where, although a lot of people are speculating it's northeast, which we will see. And yeah, um, so today, what I wanted to talk about for the actual topic of the stream. Sorry, I got some stuff, but the topic this is going to be like the last stream that I'm being able to do before people begin traveling for the Pro Tour. And something that I always do before the big events is I like to just give my last little bit of, you know, piece of advice that I can possibly give. Um, just try to, last second meta adjustments, things like that. Look at these cards, look at these strategies. What are you going to do if you run into this? Have a plan, things like that. And it's not just, not just for the Pro Tour or even the calling. That's the same weekend. But more so, just anybody that's going to an event anytime soon within this meta before high seas goes out. Zen's obviously on the brink of LL, and It will be impactful when he leaves. I just don't think it's not. It's probably my speculation is it'll be the least impactful LL we have ever seen. Is my current speculation as far as like how the meta changes when he leaves or when a deck has left. But it'll definitely even leave a impact. It just will not be uh super significant. But we'll see. We will see. Uh yeah, so let's just go ahead and hop into it. So we kind of know what's going on in the meta from just a kind of macro sense, right? Everybody has been predicting it for quite some time that Aurora is the deck to beat, and there's kind of two axes that you can actually attack Aurora on. Um, there's a couple decks that can entertain the idea of going faster because they're more consistent in their aggressive plan. And no, that's not Syndra. Me personally, I think that the two decks that can entertain the idea of actually racing Aurora and actually finding a level of success with it would have to be Prism and a mech. I'm not gonna say which mech, um, but it's obviously gonna be one of the dashes, right? And like some Hanabi blaster kind of situation, whatever the case may be, is going to be the most reliable way to kind of do that. With that being said, you do if you don't have a strong enough plan on the opposite side, it really just depends on what's gonna happen. But it's Teclo time. Man, I wish. I wish. But I mean, if he could solve a way to just handle, but see, that's the thing, chat. Like Dio doesn't have to high roll. Dio can slap like a couple boom grenades and a Hanabi blaster out and like give Aurora an easy run for her money. If basically it puts Aurora in a situation to where if she doesn't draw CLV, um, that's just it, right? And that's a good spot to be. The problem is you win that match, right? Let's just say you entertain my idea that they beat Aurora on the aggro front. Let's just make the assumption I'm right temporarily. Then you can tell me I'm wrong. Um, but the problem is now Aurora is like way better into everything else, right? You literally have a worse matchup into every other deck in the field. And that's why I've been so low on Prism. With the exception, okay, you're with Prism, you're better into Syndra than Aurora is. But like everything else is I'd rather be Aurora, is all I'm saying. And same thing goes for Dash IO. Like the only advantage you're truly gaining is Aurora. Now, with that being said, if somebody can crack the code of like Pistol Dash and a Hanabi list that can, race Aurora, then you've solved the format. You've broken the game. If you can contend on those two axes. The problem is you're probably going to lose to Enigma either way, which I expect to probably be the second most represented deck. That is my prediction. And Florian's probably going to give you some trouble. Probably not, though. You probably can get online easy enough and kind of really apply some pressure and things like that. So maybe that's an angle that's entertainable, right? That's kind of the idea. So just kind of giving everybody a situational awareness. So we have Aurora. We have a couple decks that can entertain the idea. I'm not saying it's advantageous. I'm just saying that if somebody sat down and said, "Yeah, I can race Aurora with this deck," I wouldn't laugh at him. And maybe Dawnblade Dory is another possible subject for that conversation. Although I would make the argument that that's not a race. You kind of do this mid-rangey thing, and then when they trip up, you like slam the gas. So it's not a true aggro race. It's just a game plan that fits really well against Runeblade, typically. And let me get caught up in chat. Doesn't Zen leaving open up some room for other aggressive decks? I don't think he's the one holding them back, to be honest. I think it's decks like just tribal D-react kind of situation is what's holding a lot of the aggressive decks back. It's not Zen. Zen is partaking in that. Yes, that would be correct. Eating one of their cards and and calling it just deck check has been working well for me against Aurora. I mean, that is an option that you can take. Dio's really interesting right now. She kind of just saw it into Aurora. Exactly. That's my point that I'm trying to make. So if you have found a deck that can at least be 50-50 into Aurora, but can set up a game plan against the rest of the field that's actively trying to block, which is going to take me to my third section, right? So once again, Aurora, the couple of decks that can race it, and then on the other side is everybody that has the active game plan to run D-Reacts into Aurora and block her out. That's the entire meta, is those three strategies. You are doing one of those, right? You're either playing Aurora, something that can block Aurora really well, or you're playing a couple of those decks. That's it. It's literally that simple. And then there's a couple in the back ways to pick on certain strategies. Like Verdance is a way to pick on all the decks that are trying to block Aurora. And she's seen a lot of success. Slippy is one of those strategies that's kind of just like really kind of just mid into everything. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, you're not like, you don't have any free games. You don't really have that many auto losses. Like, you're okay. And that's, I'm not saying that's a bad place to be. But the way Enigmas are building to take for Aurora has her catching massive strays. That is correct. That is correct. Dio is actually very high up in my list right now for top 8 speculations. I agree, Jordan. I do agree. I'm waiting for Aurora to die so I can swap back to Dio. I don't think you have to wait. I don't think you have to wait. The issue with Pistol is it's bad setup into both Enigma and New. I can be on board with that, which is probably why you go the Dio route and maybe you have like a hyper scrapper kind of in-game strategy. Once again, that requires a lot of skill and execution to do that. But if somebody can do that, prove me right, Sam Sutherland, if you can. If somebody can execute that strategy, then you're probably in the best possible situation that you can be as far as attacking the meta. Now you still have to draft. And I did some drafts this weekend, and I'm very curious on chat. Everybody in chat, I'm very curious what your opinion is on the hunted draft. I'm going a little bit of tangent about this draft, and I the one thing that I really, I mean, like really dislike about the hunted draft is I hate that there's variance outside of picks and outside of, just deck building, like, or drawing your hands. They've literally created a format and then tacked on like a whole other, level of variance. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about a card that says if Jim was nice enough to pair this hero across from you, then you get a bonus effect. And when I first started like really just playing it rubbed me the wrong way. But being a logical person, I took a step back and I said, why is this not okay? Why is it not okay to have a card that gets +2 go again or whatever if you're playing against Arachne. Why is that not okay? Right? Because the way I felt was I didn't choose to play against as Arachne. I didn't choose to play against somebody with that card or whatever. It just it happened, right? And so I thought to myself, well, it's not it's not um it's not any different than say Magic, right? Let's say that there's a draft set and there's like a card that's really good against the blue color, right? And you draft it and you play against a blue player and you get rewarded for it. That's like the same thing. Okay. Here's where I'm gonna, and a lot of people are gonna say that I'm just complaining and stuff like, but this stuff, especially when you're trying to really put in a lot of effort that I actually see them putting into limited, the the way it's for imagine if the imagine if the magic card said if your opponent is playing blue, fuck them, right? That's very abrasive, right? And that's what the hunted cards say. They say if the opponent is playing Arachne, fuck that person. If they're playing Syndra and you have that card, fuck them, right? It's very abrasive. It is, if you peel back the layers, it's the same shit. It's no different than like heavy sideboarding cards in other games. My complaint is if you do not have somebody that is logically minded, that is willing to set aside the fact that maybe they got high rolled in that game or whatever the case may be, or they lost to that card. If they're not able to step back and really analyze the situation, it's very easy for that person to just feel like attacked for no reason, and justifiably so. And basically what it came down to is my final like feedback toward the set is if you ever do sideboard hate like that within a draft, there you I understand why they did it. It's very thematic, right? They're like hunting each other, and like, I get it. I get the lore. I'm not an idiot. But what I'm saying is that when somebody, we all know how easy it is to tilt a card game player. Like it happens. And you slap down 4 go again just because the opponent is playing fucking Arachne, bro. People are losing it. I'm telling you. Uh, it it's very poor communication, I think is what it comes down to. It's very abrasive. I don't think it has to be. I understand it was to fulfill a lore feeling. I get it. But man, not a fan of it. We kind of saw it a little bit in Monarch, which me personally is one of the other kind of lesser draft sets in my opinion. Where if it's a shadow hero, this, if it's a light hero, the difference is those cards were ass. That's the difference, right? Like the Monarch cards that said if it's a light hero, if it's a shadow hero, all those cards were just ass. Like, let's be honest. Whereas 4 Go Again is not ass, especially in limited. So I don't know. That's my opinion on the set. Other than that, I think there's a lot of skill built into it, a lot of skill expression if you learn it really well, things like that. There's a lot of learning curves that you have to overcome, which is good in a limited set. The die roll's a little more impactful than I would like it to be. If I'm being honest, it's probably one of the heaviest weighted toward the die roll that I've played in a long time. I don't know why that is, but it just seems to be the case. Um, Switchboard Fang feels okay into Aurora and the blocky list unless Florian is on 90 RA hate cards. Um I don't think people have realized that you can just block Fang. Like you could just block him. Um, I I don't think people have like truly figured it out that like you should just like not attack Fang and like just let him do his thing and then he'll run out. Like I'm not especially if you're a deck that has like 9D reacts. Like the dude is toast. Um, as long as you have a deck that does like more than one damage, like you're just done. One day people are gonna figure that out, and then the joke's gonna be over. Uh, like his numbers are unfair, just like Vinny. It's the same fucking situation. The numbers are great when people are doing exactly what you want to do, but when they don't, you are fucked. Like that's just what's happening. Um, I think draft set's really functional, but I find it kind of boring. That's fair. I am kind of over the Volcor theme. Um, this is a personal opinion of mine. I think the Volcor theme was like all about Dromai and dragons. Um, like Draconic Ninjas, Draconic War. It just doesn't do it for me. I know there's like the Emperor, I get it, but I just me personally. Like if Volcor doesn't have dragons, then like I don't know. But obviously, like you can't just remake the same set every single time. So once again, I'm not that's not even a criticism. That's just a personal preference, me personally. Um, hello Nathan, how are you doing? Day slash day? I'm doing well, and thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Ben set should be pretty good, and if Zen leaves, gives her an opening. Once again, once people realize that you could just block her and she can't really do anything, then like, and then you have like Aura hate in the game now. It's Benny is really good until you run into somebody that truly understands the hero, has played the hero. She's fantastic until you do that. And then sometimes you'll just lose the game because the hero told you so. Are the draft heroes balanced around this though? Devil's Advocate, I see a problem with 0 for 4 go again. I mean, you have what? Snatch, you have 0 for 3 go, or you have 0 for 3, which is 4 most of the time because you're going to be marked on hit draw. For the one that targets Syndra, the one that targets Arachne is 0 for 4 go again, and the Fang one I don't recall what the Fang one does, but like it's the armor I don't give a shit, right? Because activating it gives up the block value. Does not matter. Don't care anything about that. In fact, you could have had the armor fulfill the lore and they just not printed the cards in the set that made it feel just real feel bad kind of situation. I'm glad you brought that up. Nathan, are you making it to the Pro Tour? Unfortunately, Marcus, I explained I think it was just like 15 minutes ago that the work situation did not allow. But I will be at Worlds. I will be at Nats. 100%. Guaranteed. Yeah, Fang numbers are pretty fair. What's up, Hal? Good to see you. I think just in general for this meta, a lot of matchups get 10 to 20% based on who wins the die roll. Are you you're referring to CC, which is insane. Um, it's actually very interesting because my opinion is outside of maybe the Aurora matchup, I think going first or second actually renders the least amount of benefit that it ever has in a game of Flesh and Blood, in my opinion. And I think it's because there are so many D reacts in the format, which is what we're about to kind of talk about, how to exploit it. that going second, you actually there's a very good chance that a lot of decks can actually leverage the full amount of tempo. We're getting that limited kind of texture to our CC games, where people are not able to leverage 4 card offensive hands in a lot of decks. And there's a great way to prey upon that. And that's what we're going to go over right now. So, what I wanted to bring everybody together to discuss is kind of some ways to exploit the meta. We I've already went over what's happening as far as from a contextual um, kind of situation, and I just wanted to give some insight on maybe throw some ideas on how we can interact with that, if that's the case. And I want to bring up a archetype, okay? And it's not really an archetype, it's just like a way a deck can perform. Take a deck that can either block or race Aurora, either one, but it has a problem getting around the amount of D reacts that did you update? Sorry, let me answer this question. Did you update slash fix your Aurora deck list? If you're referring to the like bunch of somersault ones, the changes that I've made so far is I took out pummels, put in pre-med, then I also swapped in purgatory because I'm now running more non-attack actions. So pummel out, pre-med in, purgatory in as well. Are some updates that I've made. And then also playing around with like actual 3 blocks versus the fighting spirits. But that's just a preference. Pick whichever one you like. If you're talking about normal Aurora, we're about to play some game. After I get done with the discussion, we're gonna play some games of that. So you'll be able to see that. And yeah, so let's say you're a deck that can operate in the meta, but you have to overcome the fact that everybody has 13.5 D reacts in their deck because, that's okay. Well, there's a lot of interesting tools that you can utilize to solve that problem. Now, what I've done is I went to Fabrare and I just typed in chat. This feels amazing, by the way. I haven't dropped a single frame. We are killing it. The internet's working. Who knew? I typed in defense reactions to pull up any card that may counter said card. I know that's kind of counterintuitive, but trust me. And we'll see a couple options, right? We have cards like, let me find them. Let me find them. Release the tension. Defense reactions can't be played from Arsenal, right? Increase the tension, right? This is basically Dreadbore on a card, but it does cost 1, which is kind of sus. Then you have Widowmaker, which is, another option, which you can kind of see where I'm getting at. Then you also have if this blocked 3, this would be much more playable. But the fact that it blocks 2, I don't think we're reaching that far. And then, of course, you have the bread and butter, Exude Confidence, and Dreadbore. So I think there's a real opportunity in the meta for a deck that has the opportunity to deny people's ability to extract value from their D-reacts because there are just so many of them. And it's something that I was really down on Azalea because there were so many D-reacts. But I was like, what if you just had somebody that knew exactly what the fuck they were doing? And they just loaded Dreadbore against anybody but Aurora in the obvious aggro decks like Syndra and stuff like that. And you just beat their face in, right? Like, the deck would basically have 2 choices at that point. If they put in a bunch of D reacts, then they're going to lose, right? Because then they have to basically race you, and there's no way they're going to race you with a bunch of D reacts in their deck. or they're going to lose so much life trying to work the D-Rex into Arsenal just to get shut down by Release the Tension or Remorseless or whatever the case may be. So what I'm talking about here is currently in the meta, there is an extreme premium on defense reaction uh, avoidance is what we're going to call it. Which is why CNC is like used to be a really good card, but it is like I'm talking just watch some of the stream games over the past, 60 days. We've seen so many CNCs connect because the opponent literally could not stop it. Not because they had instants in their hand, but because they had 2 or 3 D reacts. Like it's that prevalent right now. Exude Confidence, another reason. You have Burdens of the Past. We spoiled this card, by the way. This one is reaching a little bit, I will admit. I like the idea of it. I like the premise. I've even actually started like playing with the idea of running it in this blue spot specifically in Aurora. I know this card's amazing. I agree. It's really good. I'm just trying to look for opportunities to really bypass D-Reacts. And this is just something that has that text on it that can sometimes be played. And, you're rarely ever going to draw a card. If they have 10 D-Reacts in their graveyard and you're playing Aurora, then you've probably already lost and you're only just deleting a card from your deck, essentially. Also, it's kind of diminishing returns because if they have 10 or more defense reactions in their graveyard, what are the chances that they have some in their hand? And then early game, this sucks because they might not have that one that is named in the graveyard yet. So this and Wreak Havoc are definitely the weakest of all of them. However, Dreadbore, Exude, Dauntless, this card, Sink Below's not so good when you're paying 1 for it. You have Remorseless, right? A lot of these cards are in the Ranger arsenal, right? No pun intended. You have Dreadbore, you have Remorseless, you have, let's go back. You have Release the Tension, Increase the Tension, Widowmaker. Then you have, I think there's one more. Nope, that is a D react. So maybe that is it. But still, that's literally like 5, 6, 7 cards ish that literally prevent your opponent from playing D-Reacts in certain places. And then you have a card that literally starts and stays in play. That literally just can't play him from hand. So, like, this is the meta. How do we counter? And by the way, LSS, if you are going to print so many generic D-Reacts, that are above rate compared to anything offensive generically, give us more tools than Exude Confidence. The last one that was printed that was generic is this one. And I mean, see, how do we have to go through all this? We got to be royal, all that. I mean, this could be, we have to give up a whole action point to play this card. To not have the opponent play a D react, but they can just block for 4 all day. Let me answer some questions. No more hamsters on wheels. I tell you what, we doing it. We doing it. I was talking about the Fighting Spirit. Yeah. Those are the changes I made to the Fighting Spirit one. Gauntlet's never been better. I agree. I've been saying Riptide is in a good spot. So hear me out. there's actually a world where if you had if Riptide could go 50-50 with Aurora, then it's actually like, if you go like a Giga Aggro Viscerai, or maybe like a Fatigue version. Well, no, I guess to really punish with Dreadbore, it has to go high enough to where they actually have opportunity costs associated with keeping the D-React. So you'd have to go kind of toward the aggressive angle. Also, if you run attacks, learn this the hard way. This only applies to arrows. So if you ever like Rabble or E-Strike or something like that, they can get the D-Reacts out of their hand and unclunk their hand. Playing Marionette hurts with all the D-Reacts everywhere. I've tried Burdens, but 10 D-Reacts really should have been like 6 to make it. Yeah, I agree. I don't hate the idea of this card saying target hero can't play defense reaction cards this turn. And yeah, making this like 6. Sure. You're giving a whole card to say your opponent can't do something. Like, sure, it's a blue 3 block, fair. But I don't know. Oh, did I say D-Reacts? I mean, there's even more, right? Like, it's just gotten absurd. It really has, chat. There's a real high cost with running Dreadbore and Azalea, unfortunately. Riptide, it's a lot easier / better. Death Dealer just does so much throughout a game. I 100% agree with you. I understand the opportunity cost associated with it. But that's why when I first was discussing it, I was like, if you had a player that really truly knew every single matchup and which one was better, it's a decent spot to be, because you get around you just get around the idea of, you know, you don't lose the efficiency on the Death Dealer because they're IP3ing, right? Nobody cares whether you drew off of Death Dealer when they get 3 Blood Rot Pox and they have 3 Sync Blows in hand, right? Nobody cares. And that's the premise. But the hard part is you have to know which matchup you can do that, and you can extract that value, in which match you can't. And you also have to build in certain cards, like this card's better than it's ever been. This is a bit of a stretch, especially if you're on Dreadbore. The fact this should cost, man, maybe it should cost 1. What is this, Crucible? Rip. The fuck? What says that? RIP? Riptide Armory? What? Spoiler alert. The fuck is that? It says RIP 22. The fuck? What set is RIP? My eyes are not lying. Chat, let me know something. You just play Fatigue Riptide with all the 0 generic D-React, CNC, etc. Oh, Riptide Blitz deck? Is there a Riptide Blitz deck? Okay, maybe there is. I don't fucking know. Definitely not. It was originally in Crucible. That's where my mind went first. So the problem with Fatigue Riptide, right? Because that's where a lot of people are going to go with their angle. The problem with that is if you don't pump up your arrow, if you throw an arrow for 5, the IP3 on the other side of the table doesn't mean anything. Doesn't do anything. All they're going to do is block with the D-React they put in Arsenal from the last turn because their hand was clogged up, and then 1 card from hand. And then they swing for 3, whatever. You know, like, you don't extract any value from the IP. Now there's a long fatigue plan, but I have always been against that if you do not have, you know, you do not have a weapon. I do not like fatiguing without a weapon. I understand the premise. I've done it before with Riptide, but I don't like the idea of it. And against really good players, it's a lot more difficult to do. Um, Good thing I don't run E Strike and Riptide. That's probably a good thing. But if you go to card details, it shows all the printings. What? Well, yes, it just relisted. I don't know what Rip 22 is. But anyway, it's got to be the Riptide Blitz deck. It has to be. Has to be. But currently, there's a premium on countering D-reacts. I don't think anybody is surprised by that notion. Now, what if you're playing a class that doesn't have 14 and a half tools that allows them to do that, aka every class but Ranger, that just has access to basically Exude and CNC? That's like literally it. And then Burdens in Seal if you want to count those. God, the fact that this doesn't have Go again, how fuck. A whole card, right? Let's assume it had Go again. You can only run one of them. A whole card to say your opponent can't play D-reacts. A whole fucking card. Decimator Axe is nice into D-reacts. I agree. The problem is, like, I 100% agree with you. It's one of the best things into D-reacts. The problem is that a lot of these decks that are leveraging the D-reacts have a much, and I say much better end game state than you do. Florian, he's gonna blow you up. Enigma, gonna build the board, kill you. New is gonna mill your deck, right? Like all these decks, yes, you do that thing better, but they have a way to counter it, is the problem. Or they have the ability to counter you being slow, which brings me to my second point. If you don't have a lot of cards that say I'm going to punish D-reacts, then your next option is to go the D-react route, but build your deck in a way to where you can actually leverage all of your cards. We saw this with the Florian deck that I kind of played and was playing around with, where I put like a heavy life gain package into the list because um, you have the ability to, just leverage all of your cards if somebody says, nope, you got it, and I think that has a lot of value, and that's why I think Enigma is so good. Why I think she'll be the second most represented is because she's very defensive, but she can often produce a lot of stuff with her hand as well, whether it be further block value or an actual board state that gets a little scary, whatever the case may be. Florian built in a certain way is a good example, but yeah, you don't want to have just a bunch of D reacts, but then can't produce any output. Um, like that's currently the weakness. So if you're building a defensively oriented deck, can't even talk today. You're building that deck, and the first question you need to be asking yourself is how am I leveraging 4-card hands? And if the answer is you're not, or even 3-card hands, you need to really ask yourself, is there a way you can fix that? Can you put in a package in certain matchups or add cards like Sigil of Solace or whatever the case may be? to really give you the opportunity to leverage that hand. Because also one of the ways to counter that strategy is to just do nothing but big turns. Just say, you know what? I'm going to leave you with a 4 card hand. You're not going to be able to do anything. And then I'll come back even harder the next turn. No time zone. Great card. Off topic question. What do you think about dousing Rune Blood? Uh, it ain't it. It ain't it. It just isn't. I'll reread it to not change my mind, but we'll see. 1 for 4 for 3, right? Decent stat line. It's not 0, but like, hey, it's okay. When this attacks, create rune chant tokens equal to the number of non-attack action cards you played this turn. If 3 or more rune chants are created this way, this gets go again. Okay, so you have to draw a 3-to-1 ratio for this to get go again. And if this card doesn't have go again, it's actually dog shit because you'd rather have a 1 for 5 like Snuff Out, right? So that's kind of the thought process, right? I guess not necessarily because you're getting refunded on the rune chance that you make. I guess the problem is like how many times are you going to be able to play that many non-attack actions? Like in Viscerai, this was at its best, right? Because you could use it with a Mordred or something like that. But man, Viscerai didn't want to touch it because it was a 1 cost. That was the main thing holding it back. So it's not dog shit. It's probably like a 4 out of 10, but I'd bump it up to a 5 because of the art. Because that is some sick fucking art. Put it that way. This is my biggest struggle with Jarl. I feel like the decks I build can't abuse 4-card hands or can play. And that's why you have to start with Jarl. You have to like do more Winter's Bites and things like that. That could just be played out, right? Obviously, they're not as good. They don't block as well, but that's the price of doing business. But if you want to be able to leverage those cards, that's what you got to do. How would you evaluate Douse if it costs 0? If this was a 0 cost, then it's like a 9 out of 10. Because then the way it should be looked at is it's a 3 block, right? So you're not giving up any opportunity cost, but it can almost act as the problem is Rune Blades have gone away from pitching. All of them. Vinny doesn't want to do it. Aurora doesn't want to do it. Nobody wants to do it. Florian, like, sure, he might want to, but like he ain't pitching for this. So that's the biggest problem. But if it was a 0 cost and you just play Malefics out and you play, oh, bro, this would have been a 3 of in Viscerai. 100%. 100%. If it was a 0 cost. I really like the deck, but I think Sigil should be red Rootbound Carapace. I agree. I agree with that notion. Fab art can save a card. Hell yeah, I can. Even if the new Necro card is bad. The art we saw on the playmat makes it good. I respect it. Icequake and Jarl, good example, right? Just allows you to push the damage. Easy. I've been thinking about dousing Rune Blood in Vincent. It just cost 1. And he doesn't want to pitch. That's how I play her. So anyway, I just wanted to present that thought process. So if you're playing any events soon and you're kind of mulling over your sideboard, what are the last couple of changes you want to make? I just want to put some thoughts into your head on things you should be thinking about. Depends on what type of event you're playing and things like that. But just thought I would give give some recommendations, some ideas, and do with them what you will. So we just gonna play a few games. We're just gonna help people practice for the Pro Tour by playing Aurora because man, they're gonna play a lot of that. Although with her being so targeted in a vacuum, she's best deck. She's best deck. But with her, I think a lot of players are going to be scared to bring her. I still think that she'll be most represented, but a lot of people were saying she was going to be 30%. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be, oh God, a Vinny out the gate. Brutal. So my kind of thought process is that I really like the idea of, I think she's going to be, there's going to be like 80 to 90 Auroras. And then like Enigma will come in at like 80 or 70 kind of situation. She'll be the most represented, but I don't think it'll be by like a huge amount. Here we're gonna go first and kind of set up as good as we can and just tell them best of luck. I'm gonna run the Flicker Wisp package here because I don't want to block or anything like that. I know they have the Arsenal Disruption. I know it's risky, but I think it's a risk that it's one of those situations where you just have to try. Um, just try your best. Basically, is all you can do, um, and go from there. So we're gonna take these out, and we're gonna go here. Then we're gonna make one more change. They're really blocky, so we're gonna take one of those out and put in our little secret weapon here for the Malefics to kind of slow them down a little bit. The idea. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So sometimes you just got it, right? Like that it just is what it is. Um Damn. Okay. So what do we do here? Quick dodge flexors in Benny. 60 cars, nothing crazy going on. No AB. Okay. I hope we don't run into a haunting rendition, but we have to get the press out of our hand. It doesn't do anything that we're trying to do. So we have to get actually what we're gonna have to do is to deny their ability to filter. We're just gonna pitch these two away. I think is our best option. Then we're gonna pass. And then lay down this one. And just so happen to draw into exactly that. Which is unfortunate, but what can you do? Okay, we have a eulogy, which we don't care about. Machinations, sure. Okay, it does have go again. Trying to figure out what we're doing here. We're definitely blocking with this because we're going to go ahead and pop it. We're just going in. We're just going in. Um, let's. I think they're gonna attack, but I think we just save for the whale if they decide to do that. Although whale is like giga sus. Okay, they still have a card. Okay, so just passed. Okay, so we got our block value because they just didn't swing. Which we take that. So we're gonna go here, fuse with here. Oh yeah, AP on Grimoire. Thank you, saved me. Okay, so 2 arcane there, then another 2 there, and then now we go ahead to this, sinking this, and we say draw a card because it has go again from the lightning. And we did get a good card. Okay. We know there's no threat of coal because it would have been played to reduce the hand size on the E strike to get what probably would have been my most no, I don't want to close the combat chain. I want to pop this, deal 2 more damage. I want to pop this, draw a card, deal 2 damage. E strike is another good card. Okay. So now what we have the ability to do is so now what we're going to do is something a little I don't I know a lot of people are thinking okay, you make the embodiment of lightning to give go again to the E strike to yeah, but we can activate grasp with this blue. This blue is very valuable. Whereas I'm actually going to sync that, draw a card, snap. That makes it real easy. Deal 2 more. Deal 2 more. Um, I don't know about written. Yeah, I like the line there because if we draw like a go again attack, then we can basically do what we did, but we got the perg anyway, so I guess that works too. But some would say it was a good turn. Some would say. Dirge into whale. That's cool. I'm just gonna block this because why not? Sure. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. We're gonna block here. That was a bad swing, by the way. I should have known that my hand was dead. Just gave me a free damage, basically. It probably was greedy to not block there. I'll admit that. I'll admit that. Written just makes embodiment for the first E strike. The first E strike already had go again from arc. So this is where we don't want to be. We don't want to be like trading and things like that. So we're just trying to get our big turn and just do what we got to do. Okay, I think we have a Sycamore Coal here. The problem is we just can't play around it. Like if they got it, they got it. Uh, cool. Yep, I thought they'd have it. Which does kind of mess us up a little bit. He takes the Serenade. You're probably gonna take the might take the CLV. He's got armor though. I'd take the Serenade. Me personally, yeah, that's I'll give you a rune chant. Okay, he knows about CLV, but we're still gonna make it as awkward as possible. Although we kind of get dicked on by flexers if he has a blue that he can afford to give up. This matchup is dog shit. Absolute dog. Okay, so if this is the block, then we have a rendition, or he's going to throw the flexors in. Okay, so no flexors this turn. We'll go ahead and play that. Do that to keep it around. Although we don't have a whole lot. Probably has a D-Rack saved for this, I assume. So then you can still play the E strike withdrawal. Britain gets go again from Arc Lightning, makes embodiment, and draws a card. Correct. So Kevin, the only thing you're doing is swapping written for another card. That is like the net change in the line. The problem is I want the blue because the blue is worth a rune chant and 2 pings, right? Off of sword. So like the blue is worth 7 value. 2 pings from Art Lightning for making the rune chant and swinging Starfall, and then the rune chant itself, and then Starfall. So what card could I draw that renders more than 7 value? And Serenade is the only answer to that question. It's the only card I could draw off the top of my deck that in that situation would render more than 7 value. Even an attack with like a rabble with go again, and I hit a red, that's 6. So okay, so it's gonna be a 1 card, but Annihilation would be like nasty business. Oh god, and he has it. Just has it. Okay. So we'd go to 3. We banish this. We go Flicker, Fuse. We draw. I mean, fuck it. We went this far. We ain't stopping now. Mm-mm. And since we are making that line, we actually get to swap. Given the situation, there's none floating. We can swap burn up. We can ping, draw a card off CLV, and then just banish that card, or reevaluate. Since this is currently the card that we do want to banish, so that's what we're gonna do in the reaction step. We're gonna ping 1, draw, so we get a free look, free card. Which now, so this is for go again. Is Flicker the worst card now? Is a valid question, and I think it may be, because it's just not doing anything. So now we're gonna ditch the Flicker Wisp. Is the plan? We go to 2, which means we gotta get that hand. We have to play Serenade first because we do not want to break the chain with with all that funny business going on over there. They using that to cover up the breakpoints. Or just letting me draw. What? Ah, God damn it. There's no way, bro. There's no way. And we just died a whale next turn. Yep. Geez. Rabble didn't end up mattering, but it still does not feel good. Good game. And that's the good part about Vinny is that like Vinny is favored in this match 100%. But once you go outside of it, it gets really, really rough. All right, let's see who else is playing. Damn. Flicker Arc, first playable turn. And still nothing. That's interesting. I do want to play Enigma, actually. I Enigma would be good. I like the old setup and go. Playing written also gets 2 value though, so the card would have to be more than 5. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying because it does. Okay, it does carry over the 2. Yes, that is correct. So I would have to draw an attack with go again. Is what I would have to do. Okay, we have Riptide. We don't know what they're trying to do. I like to caution. I like to go combo into Riptide, believe it or not, simply because you don't know what they're trying to do, and I think you can probably beat them either way. So once again, we go, and I'm not even gonna run Exude, although maybe we do. Maybe we cut Scars, go for Exude. Also take a Static out or a Burn Up. Let's do that. Yeah, I like that. Let's do that. So we're gonna run the combo package here as well. Seems pretty straightforward. But they're running more than 60 cards, so they're on the fatigue plan, of course. But what we're gonna do is we're going to play that. Okay. Dreadbore into Sedation Shot. Okay. Don't really care too much about Sedation. But what I am gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and send the rabble, but just mainly to get information. I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Just trying to get some information on the turn. Okay, they are willing to pitch, which means they intend to block this, which means there's going to be a trap of some kind or 0 for 4 if he's not going to let it hit. Yep, shelter. Okay. Um, okay. Another 0 for 4 D react. Next don't trigger, which will get rid of the draw there. Okay. On CLV. Sure. Probably gonna give a card here, depending on what's in hand. I mean, they're not gonna throw a 2-card hand at me unless it's like CNC doesn't even make sense because of inertia. Okay, we'll just put that to the bottom. No big deal. Okie dokie. What do we got? Remorseless for 7. Okay. Um, we can race. Then what are we doing? No trench. We'd be pinging ourselves a lot, but that. How do we win this? Want to just throw 7. But I actually don't want to throw 7. What I want to do is block 6. And just pass. That's what we want to do. When this hits, banish face down 3 traps from your graveyard. If you do, choose one at random, put it into your arsenal. 3 face down traps. Do you have to have 3 face down traps? You may banish face down. Yeah, I think you have to have 3, right? Okay, so now we do a little shindig here. And this says the next action. How do we weave this in with burn up? Huh. Means we have to actually play the burn up after, which just kind of feels bad, but this isn't my favorite red pit. What up, Shane? Congrats. Congrats on the dub. Congrats on the team. Calming breeze. Sure. It seems sus. I don't want to waste the go again. But unsure. Hmm. This is tough because of this card. Like, there's a chance that it might actually hit. And how do we kind of leverage? And we can also play around, a couple other traps. I think we just have to risk it. You play burn up between arc and flicker, so you basically you get the flicker damage, but not the arc lightning ping. I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, Shane, you're right too. Just snap. Yeah, we'll do that. Or you meant just snap as in play both of these and then lightning surge. Snap it. You right. You right. That paying action. Then we're gonna pop all the goods afterwards. You know what we get. I think we've been through some E strikes, so we don't have to worry about, man, if we draw an E strike, that's gonna suck. What can you do? We are worried about Tar Pit here, but I mean, we just gotta put them on better habit. Inertia, that's fine. We're not keeping a card anyway. More damage. More damage. Huh? What's the CLV situation? He's already taken a lot, so I think we're gonna go ahead and get it while the getting's good. I was deciding whether to take one less damage to do grasp and still get the ping, but then make a CLV easier on the next turn. But I don't think it's quite worth it. I think I'd rather just get the damage. He said, "What damage?" Mm, 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 mm. Thank God for Entwine Lightning, bro. Holy shit. Oh man. Couldn't have drawn an attack there. If it was a 0 for 4, we're in a good spot because Burn Up Shock was still active. No, can't have nice things. Which one's the better arsenal? Gone to Flash, man. Really, I've been so not impressed with this card lately. We just don't run that many, especially with snaps gone. Kind of sus. But it is strictly the better card to put in Arsenal because it does have situational context that is more relevant for the situation. Because here we're getting the full text here right now and so forth. Sure. I guess the only thing that we gain is we tell them what's not in our hand. That's it. It is the Riptide Blitz. All right. So they got 52 cards. And they're at 14. I'm not going to pay. I'll just take the damage. We have a 5-card hand. They're on a 4-card hand. And we got the use. Question is, what can we do with Sid? We know we just pitched one of the arc lightnings. We might have to sit on it. This is sus, though. I don't. Hmm. We can play this to get. It's just AB1, right? Guaranteed damage. Yeah, we could exude for 10. And that actually that works for the pitch stack, right? Because then we're putting the flicker right by the arc. I like that. That is a good line. A good line. Dun, 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 dun. See, I like Riptide. I mean, hell, I even got LL points on him. But I've never fully understood the idea or concept of fatigue Riptide. I understand what people want to do with it, but I don't actually understand like how you get it done. Just doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't seem to really work. Okay. This is next action card, so we can play this. So it should be Serenade Skizik funnel, written, draw, E strike. Yeah, seems good enough. We don't need to pitch stack. I could pitch the Serenade right with the Arc Lightning for Flicker Wisp, but like this dude's Giga Dead. He's at 11 already. In fact, I might even do +2 on the E strike. Actually, no, because no matter what I draw, I can always Starfall. Lapsing Trap? Take cover, okay. That's a good thing. This is a good hand. Last action card we played was Lightning. It was this and the next action card, which would give that, which means we would draw. Okay. Just wanted to double check my blues. We don't play them too often. You know what I'm saying? Only draws if you deal arcane. No. See, that's why we read, chat. That's why we read. Psych, I wasn't planning on drawing. Well, I guess maybe I was. Okay, collapsing here. Sure. I'm okay with that. Um, I wonder if we just activate Aurora here. We make the embodiment that triggers. We don't lose any cards out of deck. Still have threat density. We can even in this situation, I'm actually going to elect to make the rune chant over Starfall. I know it's less damage, but I don't think he's going to be able to convert the 3-card hand anyway. And then we are very likely to draw CLV next turn because we've only seen one. And we what 4 in 30 with 2 successes is like 80%, give or take. So very likely to draw a CLV. So we're gonna bank on it and just make that a little bit easier to execute. Math does not matter. Just doesn't. Simple as that. Battering bolt doesn't matter though. That's good. So what does this hand even look like? We're gonna have to block with one of these. Unfortunately. How many serenades we got in there? A 1, a 2, and 2 skizzics. So if we block with this, it's a dead card. So I guess what I want, well, no, we have this. So we can go 4 or 4 into 4 into 2 into 4 arsenal. I like that. You can see the whole hand. What up, Goblin? Thank you for joining me. I am having a great night, and I hope you are as well. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna throw that out first, since we're gonna get go again, which is very nice and convenient. Calming breeze, I'm very fine with. And then we're gonna go again. Pitch sword keeps us in the deck, which makes the other serenade an actual card, which we like. Then we'll save the on hit. I am kind of worried about drawing a double like CLV kind of hand. I am a tad worried. I'm gonna start really highly prioritizing putting an attack in arsenal just in case we do brick. I want a way to get out of it. We have a lot of instant cards that we have. We have a bunch of those, some CLVs, more burn ups. There's like a really high probability that we can actually draw a hand that doesn't have an attack. So I'm just going to prioritize having one in arsenal in case that does happen to reduce the liability there. 4 on hit 1. We have D react. That's cool. But it doesn't have go again. So if this leaks, we get 2. 2 demage. Look at that. We got 2 demage. We did it, chat. He's closer to being dead. Okay. It's pretty good. Hmm. It's gonna shuffle our pitch stack, which I don't like because we did have the flicker arc lightning set up, but it is what it is. We're just gonna keep applying pressure. Keep applying pressure. Okay. He passes on blocks here. He has to have exactly, and I mean exactly, a 0 for 4 react in Arsenal. Which, I mean, who we kidding? It's probably very likely, but could also not be. And then we take him to 2 and still have a 5 card hand, which we would not mind. Is there any counter target tech you found for Aurora? Not really. Just blocking her is the best thing that you can do. I almost play this just to kill, um, but because it does not kill, we arsenal, and it makes all the on hits next turn lethal. Okay. So what we can do is go ahead and burn up shock, resolve both. This feels like bullying. I mean, I didn't choose to play Fatigue Riptide. That wasn't on me. Oh, he took the damage. Okay. That makes it a lot easier. Because then now we can give Written in the Stars Go Again. Or yeah, give it Go Again with current funnel, which means we've dealt Arcane, which means we'll make an embodiment for the E strike if we want to do 7, whatever, depending on what we draw. Um, Also, we have the other blue for grasp and all that fun stuff. So, uh, sure, it's good a turn as ever to use that. Okay. Which means we have a couple options here on what we want to do. I do want to, I know for a fact that I really want to make a rune chant because he's engaged with flexors this turn, which means if we make a rune chant, there's a good chance we can get a whole nother card because he's not going to be able to block with flexors another time, or he's going to already have done it and run out of pitch. Either way, E strike for 7 sounds really good as well. So if we go east, it might just be 7 and then 4. I don't know. We could go 4 Go Again and test the waters on the blocks. I don't hate that idea. But I guess if we're doing this, we're like locking ourselves into the E strike, right? Unless he quit dodge flexors here. And if he does, okay, so if flexors is used there, then if we make a rune chant here, it's a free card. Or we could just go 7. We just go 7. We'll just play to our outs. There's no reason to even risk it. Yeah. Because we know we still have like Flicker Wisp and Arc Lightnings and things like that. So the next one just kills him. So as long as we just strip the hand, we know the Arsenal's not a D-Rack because he let us draw off the snatch. So this is not a D-React, which means we just need to pressure the hand and then wait for the pieces, and then we'll be A-okay. Just need to not brick, but this looks like it's going to be just good. Okay, it's Calming Breeze or game, basically. Yep. Good game. How far away was it? We still had 2 CLVs in there, 2 Arc Lightnings. We still had some gas. Double Exude with the Arc Lightnings. We still had a fair amount of Go Again. Some Flicker charges with, or Flittering charge with the Discharge. I said I was mixing the two. But yeah, still had a decent amount of gas in the deck. So like I said, I don't understand if you're up against like Guardians and stuff like that. I get it. I get why this is a thing. Um, I didn't particularly high roll on this one. We set up the actually, if anything, when we had Flicker and Arc Lightning, it was kind of it, it was kind of weak because we had like Lightning Press both times. Or like cards that didn't actually function toward adding to the weakest link was in Arsenal. Didn't actually add to the deck, but yeah. All right, chat. Well, if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, now's the time to do it because I'm letting you know now. Very likely that the next stream is going to be canceled because a lot of people are going to be traveling or pro tour things like that. So, uh, probably not going to do one. If there's anything you want to run by me, now is the opportunity. Now's the opportunity. But for those of you who don't have question, comment, whatever it may be, I just want to thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, PoE new season dropping or league. Sorry, it's not a season, it's a league. Uh, for whoever's playing that on Friday, have fun. How hard am I trolling if I take Jarl to the PT? Like I said, I just if you're taking a deck like that, you have to say, what can you do with those 4-card hands? And the answer is, I don't know. Do you think the metagame is in a good slash fun spot? Let's talk about that for a sec. I think that's worth the discussion. I haven't done one of these feedback videos in like a long time. So maybe it's worth kind of go over. That's actually a really good question. Is the current state of Flesh and Blood is from a CC perspective and in a good spot, in a fun spot, as you asked? Um, I'm just gonna name some ideas that would kind of prove both sides and let you make your decision. Um, but ultimately, what has happened? This is 110% speculation. I don't know anything from anybody or any confirmation or anything. This is off the top of the dome and nowhere else, right? Basically, Brian mentioned in the latest, not the latest Dev Talk, the one before that, that they did some data gathering exercise and said that Aurora was the only deck to um was the only deck that was like people really enjoyed playing it and people really enjoyed playing against it. Okay. And I think what has happened is they are leveraging that data. I think that the power level of Aurora is planned uh, to the point to where I think that this is probably from like putting a hero in the game and them trying to pinpoint exactly where they want the power to be of that hero. I think this is the most accurate they have ever been. I think that this I think that Aurora was basically designed to be this strong based on the idea of that data because if you're making a card game and a lot of people like a hero, you want that hero to be good. The interesting part about that equation, the game of Flesh and Blood, is that hero is going to LL. Then like what do you do? I don't know. But once again, let's get back on the main topic of is it a fun meta or not? And what I'm just trying to explain is I think that the current meta has been crafted on purpose by L I can't talk today. LSS by those people. They have basically crafted the meta and I think very accurately. And I guess maybe that's the wrong way to put it. They don't like sit there and like cook the meta up in like in any type of way, but they make cards that guarantees a deck to a certain position Aurora didn't need an armory deck. She had just came out, right? Of course, they did the same thing with KO, but we haven't seen any other example of that kind of thing happen. There was no MST armory deck or anything like that. Um, I literally think that the armory deck was based on that data. They said people like playing against it and with it, lean into it, and they cranked her up to the top, and this is where we're at. As far as is it a fun meta? I like Aurora's game style. Do not like Flicker Wisp Arc Lightning. I think that synergies are cool, but I don't think you should accidentally win games just because you drew them. It it feels kind of sus, to be honest. Also, everybody has known my opinions on basically, you know, I am in the camp of I think they should limit the number of generic cards you should be able to put in a CC deck, whether it be 20, whatever. I think that they should limit it. With that being said, you look at any of the top decks, Florian, Enigma, Zen, New, whatever. A lot of them are basically baked around generic cards. Even Zen, that has to search for a combo card, has one probably the best hero ability in the game. He's still running fucking 25, 30 generic cards. The D reacts, the weakest links, the CNCs. I mean, just a lot of fucking generic cards just because. And I feel like every day we're going down a path of I understand they need to power creep because they need to make sets, but when you power creep in the generic slot, every single time you print a card that is generic that warrants a slot in more than 50% of the decks, you take down hero identity. Whether it's on purpose or not is completely irrelevant. I'm just saying it how it is. And I've always, said that that's what I'm always going to do. So here it is. But every time you do that, that's your opportunity cost. Is you are basically reducing hero identity because now everybody plays. I mean, any meta deck in Flesh and Blood for the most part is literally if you're not in a here is deck building in Fab right now, and this is my problem. It's not the meta; it's deck building. It's does my deck have a very strict requirement on what I can run? Aurora, Mech. That's basically it, right? If the answer is yes to that question, I'm going to play a lot of class cards and sprinkle in some generics. But if not, I'm going to teach you how to build a deck in Flesh and Blood. You're going to add CNC. You're going to add probably another generic 2 for 6. You're going to add 9 to 12 D reacts. Then you're going to add some generic utility blues. You're already at 30 to 35 fucking cards that are generic, and you have not added. Okay, Vincent, good point. You have not even added a class card yet. So basically, you have a deck like Enigma. We'll just use that as an example, right? Where you have a couple of power plays built into the deck: Restless Coalescence, Mirror Guy, and Phantasmaclasm and Miraging Metamorph. And then the rest is fucking generic. Literally. You have power plays and generic cards. That's it. That is deck. You put your 35 generic cards in. You say, what's the best bang for the buck I can get with the 25 other cards, and then you just do that. And that's deck building in Fab right now. And I don't think that's fun. I think that a lot of the reason that we're in that state is because of Aurora. It's literally for a lot of decks, it's the only possible way to interact with that hero and contend. Going full circle, I think that they designed the situation. I don't know if they accounted for that being the only way to combat it. So I don't know. I don't know. I think the meta to play is fun, entertaining. I think deck building in Fab is there's gonna be some spice to the Pro Tour. Somebody's gonna walk in with burdens and stuff like that, and like there's gonna be a couple cool cards, but I hope Ethan takes like a D react counter. He would never do this on Pro Tour because it's kind of negative slanting. But like I can imagine a stream where you just have D react counter and throughout the entire stream you just uptick by one every single time somebody plays a D react. And the shit's gonna be at 300 on the day. Like there's gonna be so many of that resolved, and it's not fun. Especially from a spectating perspective. Um, I feel like that deck building philosophy isn't that new. Briar usually played a lot of generic cards, attacks and non-attacks. So you are right on that front, right? Briar was an example of that, of a deck that did that. But outside of Briar, she was really other than like the recent stuff. Briar's the only offender, right? There's not a lot of decks that just reached into the generic card pool. Um, and that's mainly because her hero ability was not limited to class cards. That is why she reached into the generic card pool, is because she could do so at a low opportunity cost, which is kind of the class identity, if that makes sense, right? Whereas there's nothing on the hero text of Enigma that says go play generics. Nothing. You make a fucking spectral shield. It doesn't say, if you pitch a generic card or you have the ability to pitch a generic card, and if you pitch two of them, you make two spectral shield. No, it literally just doesn't. And Chain didn't do it though. Chain had some generic, sure, but it wasn't. An average Chain deck ran 20 generic cards. 25 when Belittle was running around. It wasn't that many. Are D-reacts just too consistent? Easiest way to get 4 value from a card. I did a stream. What, 3 months ago? And the entire stream was dedicated to basically saying that I think from a fundamental design principle, it is more advantageous to block than attack in the game of Flesh and Blood, whether you like it or not. Because if you are attacking to get 4 value from your cards, a lot of things have to happen in a certain way. And there's risk associated with that. Well, for a D-react, you might say, well, what if your opponent doesn't attack you and you don't get the opportunity to leverage 4 value from your D-react? And I would beg the question of what deck with a bunch of D-reacts is going to have full tempo? It's not going to happen very often. So it does not really matter. And I don't know. I think forever and always, from a holistic standpoint, on average, it is better to block in the game of Flesh and Blood than it is to attack. Literally. Which I think is very interesting. And I'll give you a little piece of it from the video in case anybody hasn't seen it. If you look at the first 4 heroes, the reason I know this to be true from James White, basically. Not confirmed, but I can put the pieces together. If you look at every one of the first heroes in the Game of Flesh and Blood from WTR, every hero text actively disincentivizes your opponent, or every hero has a design principle that actively punishes your opponent for wanting to just block. Bravo has Dominate on Demand. Dory has Reprise, which means she gets more effects if your opponent blocks. Reinar has Intimidate. And then Katsu has Kadachi's. Everything from the inception of the game was designed literally declaring war against blocking. And I think that happened because James figured out very early in the game designing system that blocking was the best way to play the game. And he had to basically, you know, combat that. And I think I don't know the behind the scenes of designing heroes or what they do for that process or whatever, but I know that's a hurdle that they have to go over, is how does this deck not just die or lose to a deck blocking? And you know, I don't know. My opinion. Once again, no conversations with anybody, just my opinion. Wouldn't Guardians be very good if blocking was always better? So Guardians' problem is their rate is shit outside of blocking. So currently in the Game of Flesh and Blood, it's block for 4 and find some way to extract 2-card 8s, things like that, 1-card 5s with Florian, whatever the case may be. Guardian doesn't have that ability. Guardian can do 1-card 4 or 3-card 8s. Their equipment, Guardian used to have some of the best equipment in the world. Now it's kind of dog shit compared to everybody else because everybody has 2 block in every slot just about. So maybe they fix that with a mastery pack. I don't know. But like chat saying, Florian and Enigma just do it better. They just do that strategy with better numbers. Not that Guardian's bad. I actually think Victor's really good right now, but I don't see it. Good offense starts with good defense. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. What hero will top in Pro Tour? Assuming you mean win or like top 8. As far as the dub, I gotta give it to Enigma. I think Enigma's gonna win it. And as far as like top 8 composition, I'm gonna say 2 Aurora, 2 Enigma, 1 Zen, 1 new, a Dio, and a Verdance. I think they were trying to fix it with block cards, and I agree with you until they printed another 0 for 4D React. I thought that they had came to that realization that holy shit, maybe we shouldn't do that, and then Shelter came out. Like that whole point just gets washed away. Like you can't even entertain that idea, and then print Shelter. Like you just can't. And I think we're at the critical point now to where if they print another one, it actually doesn't matter. Like we have so many options now for 0 for 4D reacts. It's actually insane. And then we have utility D reacts, like that's all you got, and hold the line and shit like that. And on the other side we have Razor Reflex. I don't know. My opinion. But as always, I want to thank everybody for joining me. I really do appreciate it. If you are going to London for any events, whether it be the Pro Tour, just the calling, whatever, just to hang out, I wish you the absolute best of time, and I hope you have safe travels and you just enjoy yourself. That's what it's about. Hope everybody has a good time. I will be absolutely glued to the coverage and seeing what Ethan and Sam can put together. I'm excited to watch it. I wish I could be there. I need to go to Europe so bad. I haven't seen all those people in quite some time. Got some catching up to do. But yeah, maybe I'll see those people at Worlds, although it's little greedy because they'd be coming to me. But it is what it is sometimes. But thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Very likely there will be no stream tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week because of the proximity to the Pro Tour. And yeah, wish everybody the best